falling asleep. She couldn't stay awake. But she's been nice.
She's gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Okay. You ready?
You're the boss. Yeah, bang it hard.
Bang it and
hard.
then
Yeah, hard. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Council Chamber of East Baton Rouge Parish. As always, it's our honor to have you watching our meeting, and we'd love to have you as part of our government. Chairing today's meeting is our council member from District 11, our council member, Lori Adams. Ms. Adams?
Thank you, Dennis. Good afternoon and welcome to the Metropolitan Council meeting for East Baton Rouge Parish in the city of Baton Rouge. It is Wednesday, April the 8th, 2026. Let's call the meeting to order. Ashley, do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
And now we have for our invocation and pledge today, the pastor of the City Church of Baton Rouge, Dr. Ernest H. Jackson. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Jackson.
That's great. It's my pleasure today to be here in service. If we all can stand for prayer. Heavenly Father, gracious sovereign God, we gather today as your servants humbly seeking your wisdom for Baton Rouge. This great city, as your word declares in Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, and in all your ways submit to him, and he will make our paths straight. Bless our Metro Council members with transcendent clarity of mind, steadfast integrity of heart, and resolute courage to serve the common good. Guide their deliberations with your eternal truth, that every decision may cultivate justice, compassion, and prosperity for all residents, from the youngest child to the eldest citizen. Unite us in purpose, temper our words with humility, and shield us from division. May the light of your Holy Spirit illuminate our path, directing our steps aright. We pray this in the powerful name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen and amen. Let's have our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Now, Bishop, sing us a little something before you go now. Don't do it.
Thank you.
Not today.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. All right, the adoption and approval of the minutes. Item number 1, approval and adoption of the minutes of the Metropolitan Council meeting March 25th, 2026 by Council Administrator Treasurer. We'll need a motion to approve these minutes. Councilman Kenny with a second from Councilwoman Amorosa. Ashley, please read the introductions.
Section 2.12, Introductions. Number 2, an ordinance of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, A, creating the Bayou Fountain Economic Development District within the City of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on the property described on Exhibit A, shown on Exhibit B. B, defining the boundaries of the property from which new area sales and use taxes and hotel occupancy taxes can be levied by the district and used to fund all or a portion of the cost of economic development projects as described herein, all in accordance with and authorized by Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended. C, designating the governing authority of the district. D, acknowledging their authority to levy sales and use taxes and hotel occupancy taxes within the district. And E, providing for other matters in connection with the foregoing by Councilwoman Jennifer Rocca. Number 3, authorizing the Finance Department to refund an erroneous remittance of sales tax to the Baton Rouge Clinic AMC in the amount of $336,437.27 for remitting sales tax on non-taxable prescription drug purchases for the audit period July 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2022, with the cost of such refund to be charged against sales tax revenues by the Finance Director. Number 4, a resolution ordering and calling an election to be held in the Parish of East Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, to authorize the parish to renew the levy and collection of a 0.5 mils ad valorem tax on all property subject to taxation within the boundaries of the Parish of East Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, for a period of 10 years, commencing with the tax collection year 2027, and annually thereafter to and including the year 2036, to provide funds for the purpose of purchasing, maintaining, and operating machinery, facilities, and equipment necessary in the eradication, abatement, or control of mosquitoes, other arthropods of public health importance, and rodents, maintaining adequate administrative and support staff in connection therewith, making application to the State Bond Commission, providing notice that a public hearing regarding the adoption of this resolution shall be held on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026 at 4:00 p.m. at the regular meeting place of the Metropolitan Council, 3rd floor, City Hall, room 348, 222 St. Louis Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith by Mosquito Abatement and Rodent Control District. Number 5, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of the 15th Amendment to the Intergovernmental Contract and Local Services Agreement among the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, and the Greater Baton Rouge Airport District relating to the refinancing of certain prior indebtedness of the Greater Baton Rouge Airport District to the City of Baton Rouge and providing for other matters related thereto by Greater Baton Rouge Airport District. Number 6, a resolution authorizing the City of Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, to make application to the State Bond Commission for consent and authority to issue one not to exceed $3,500,000 public improvement sales tax revenue refunding bond series 2026A for the purpose of providing sufficient funds to current refund outstanding principal amount of its public improvement sales tax revenue bonds. 2, not exceeding $31,500,000 public improvement sales tax revenue refunding bonds for the purpose of providing sufficient funds to current refund the outstanding principal amount of its A, public improvement sales tax revenue refunding bonds, and B, public improvement sales tax revenue bonds. And 3, pay the costs of issuance thereof and authorizing the execution and delivery of a bond purchase agreement, one or more credit enhancement devices, and any and all other required in connection with the issuance of the bond, authorizing the preparation and distribution of the preliminary official statement and official statement relating to said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith by bond counsel. Number 7, amend the 2026 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to make the following changes effective May 30th, 2026, and appropriate $1,919,270 for said purpose. Amend the classified and unclassified Appendix 1, Item 23, to adjust the critical retention hiring pay steps for 4 emergency medical services classifications. Add 8 new EMS classifications, delete 6 existing EMS classifications, add 8 new pay grades, and increase the pay grades for 21 existing EMS classifications by Mayor President, Human Resources Director, Finance Director, and EMS Administrator. Number 8, amend the 2026 allotment of positions for the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to change the allotment of emergency medical services effective May 30th, 2026. Add 12 new EMS positions and delete 10 existing EMS positions by Mayor President, Human Resources Director, Finance Director, and EMS Administrator. Number 9, amend Title I, Municipal and Parish Organization, Chapter 3, Personnel, Part 4, Employees Retirement System of the Code of Ordinances, so as to include the Baton Rouge Airport Authority as a new employer through the City Parish Employees Retirement System by the Interim Retirement Administrator. Condemnation introductions. Number 10, Jarrett Bowie, 1133 North 39th Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 11, Alfred Scott, 3109 Fulton Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 12, the unopened succession of Gabriel Martin, 3325 Chippewa Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 13, the estate of Bernard Jones Sr., 4030 Odell Street, Council District 7, Harris. All items that require reading have been read, and a motion to introduce all items is in order.
Okay, do we have a motion to introduce? Councilwoman Omarosa makes the motion, and Councilman Goday seconds it. Any objections? Seeing none, the items are introduced. Council members, to your separate sheet for your DPW recommendations. Okay. Give everybody a second to get your sheets. All right, so it's recommended that we proceed with item 30, item 31, 34, 35, 37, 40, 42, 43, 47, 48, 49, 51, 54, 56, 57, 58, 59, 62, and 63. 38, we defer for 2 weeks. 41, 57, 39, and 33, deferral for 30 days. 45, 46, 55, 58, 52, and 36, defer for 60 days. Item 50, defer to July 22nd, 2026. and 44, 53, 60, 61, and 32, delete. Are there any other changes? All right, let's open up do the public hearing after the changes.
Item number 43 and 44, give me 30 days.
Okay, 43 and 44.
41, give me 60 days.
41, 60 days. Any other changes? All right, let's open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here wishing to speak on one of these items? Anybody here? All right, not seeing anyone, we'll close the public hearing. Oh, okay, 44 is on delete. So would you rather give them 30 days? Is that what you want, Cleve? 30 days rather than?
Yes, 30 days.
Sorry, Councilman Dunn. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to approve? Councilwoman Amorosa makes the motion. Councilwoman Harris seconds it. Oh, I do. I'm so sorry. Let me reread. Okay, so here we go. Here's the final. Proceed with 30, 31, 34, 35, 37, 40, 42, 43, 47, 48, 49, 51, 54, 56, 57, 58, 59, 62, and 63. Number 38 will be deferred for 2 weeks. 41, 57, 39, 33, 43, 44 will be deferred for 30 days. 45, 46, 55, 58, 52, 36, and 41 will be deferred for 60 days. Number 50 will be deferred until July 22nd, 2026. And 53, 60, 61, and 32 will be deleted. I'm so sorry, I read 41 twice. Oh, but he wants 60. You want 60 on 41. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, I've got to read one more time. Y'all be
60 on
patient with me.
41, 30 days on 43 and 44.
Okay, yes, I will read it slower. I'm sorry. Okay, proceed with 30, 31, 34, 35, 37, 42, 40, 42, 43, 47, 48, 49, 51, 54, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, and 62. I messed up again.
43, he asked to go 3 days.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, which one? 40. I'm so sorry. Did I miss anything else? Okay, let's see. Let me compare. Just give me 1 second, guys. I think this is the hardest thing of the whole job. Oh, 58. Okay. I'll go back. 57 is Darrell Hurst, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it? We have 55 as 60 days. Do you want it deleted? 55 is delete. Okay. Right. 57 is 30 days, and we took it off. 39, 30. 43, 44, okay. 45, 46, 58, 52, 36, and 41, 50. Down here, I've got 50. 62 and 55. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. And he's checking on 55. How's everybody doing? Okay, we're going to delete 55. All right, here we go. One more time. All right, proceed. We're going to proceed with 30, 31, 34, 35, 37, 40, 42, 47, 48, 49, 51, 54, 56, 59, 62, and 63. We will defer for 2 weeks, item 38. We'll defer for 30 days, items 57, 39, 33, 43, and 44. We'll defer for 60 days, item 45, 46, 58, 52, 36, and 41 will defer until July 22nd, 2026, item 50, and we will delete 53, 60, 61, 32, and 55. Great. So we've got a motion still from Councilwoman Amorosa, a second from Councilwoman Harris. Any objections? All right. We don't have to do that again tonight. Thank you. All right. Let's see. All right. So let's move on to the public hearing. Item number 64. Authorizing settlement of the matter entitled Paula Williams versus City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, and Patrick Winneman in the amount of $300,000 plus court costs in the amount of $333 for a total amount of $333 and appropriating $300,333 for such purpose by parish attorney. We have received a request from the parish attorney to defer this for 30 days, so I'll entertain a motion to defer this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's open up the public hearing. Do we have anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we close the public hearing. We have a recommendation or a request by the parish attorney to defer this for 30 days. Councilman Goday makes the motion. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Amorosa, any objections? The item is deferred. Item 65, authorizing settlement of the matter entitled Shawana Duncan and estate of Victor Duncan versus Jones et al., consolidated with Brianna Duncan et al. V. Jones et al., in the amount of $299,999.99 plus court costs in the amount of $1,097.16 for a total amount of $301,097.15. By parish attorney. Let's open up the public hearing. Do we have anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. We have had a request by the parish attorney to delete this item. Do I have a motion to delete item 65? Councilman Goday. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Amorosa. Any objections?
Show me as abstaining.
Let's show Councilwoman Rocca as abstaining. With no objections, the item will be deleted. Item 66, authorizing settlement of the matter entitled Delzecchio Banks versus Prison Medical Services et al. In the amount of $67,500 plus court costs in the amount of $3,259.45 for a total amount of $70,759.45 by the parish attorney. Let's open up the public hearing. Do we have anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion? Councilman Goday makes a motion to approve. I have a second from Councilman Kenny. Any objections? Seeing none, the item is approved. Item 67, authorizing settlement of the matter entitled Latasha M. Surf versus Davron Jones in the amount of $45,000 plus court costs in the amount of $295.46 for a total amount of $47,795.46 by parish attorney. Let's open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion, council members? Councilman Goday moves for approval. Do I have a second? The chair seconds the motion. Do I have any objections? Seeing none, item 67 is approved. Item 68, authorizing the mayor president to accept, enter into, and execute all agreements on behalf of the purchasing division in coordination with the CDBG-DR HUD Federal Grant Economic Development Initiative Community Project by purchasing director. Let's open up this for public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. We have a request by the purchasing director to delete this item. Do I have a motion to delete? By Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilman Goday. Any objections? Seeing none, the item is deleted. Item 69, authorizing the mayor president on behalf of the Baton Rouge Police Department to accept a donation in the amount of $15,000 from the Baton Rouge Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Foundation. Said funds to be used for the acquisition of a police canine explosive detection canine by police chief. Let's open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing
Council
none.
members, you should have received one email comment in support of item 69.
Thank you, Ashley. Seeing no one wishing to speak on this, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion? Councilman Goday moves approval. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Amorosa seconds it. Any objections? Seeing none, item 69 is approved. Item 70, authorizing the Mayor President on behalf of the Baton Rouge Police Department to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Zurich American Insurance Company for the partial donation of a recovered 2023 Dodge Charger with an estimated value of $52,000 by Police Chief. Let's open up the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing no one, let's close the public hearing. Council members, what is your pleasure? Councilman Goday makes a motion to approve the item. Councilwoman Amorosa seconds it.
I have a question. Who are we
Yes.
giving this to? Okay. Wait a minute, slow it
Thank you,
down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
Good evening, Council. So the vehicle, 2023 Dodge Charger, it was stolen and then subsequently recovered. The insurance company paid out the claim to the owner. They want to donate the vehicle to us, so we are subsequently going to use it. It looks very much like a street drag racing type vehicle, so we're going to use it for some undercover operations in that vein, and also out-equip it with some of our big car technology to park into apartment complexes, places like that, and hopefully it will get broken into and we can catch vehicle burglars. So the car is valued at about $52,000. Then and so they're giving it to us for just over $7,000 that we're going to have to pay for it.
Any other questions? Good. All right. We have a motion by Councilman Goday, a second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any objections? Seeing none, let's move on to item 71. Authorizing the Mayor President to execute supplemental agreement number 1 to the contract with WTD Architecture, LLC for additional design services in connection with their contract for the Baton Rouge Fire Department SARS building in an amount not to exceed $5,000 by Building and Grounds Director. Let's open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing no one, let's close the public hearing. Council members. Thank you. Councilman Goday makes a motion that we approve this item. Do I have a second? The chair seconds it. Any objections? Item 71 is approved. Item 72, authorizing the Mayor President to execute a contract with GEC Inc. with subconsultants GoTech Inc., Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., and Southern Earth Sciences, Inc. for engineering services in connection with sales tax, street and road rehabilitation program construction supervision and inspection. Supplemental Phase 20 in an amount not to exceed $2,032,820 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Let's open this up for public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing and go to Councilman Kinney.
Hey, Fred, you want to come up just briefly explain to the viewing audience at home this particular item?
Thank you, Council. This item is to actually do the project inspection and program management of our asphalt overlay program that we do every year, that the funds are committed to by the voters of the parish. Certainly, we have to have this type of service because we don't have the staffing or the manpower to accommodate what needs to be done. They've been doing this type of service for some time. Will be the last year that GEC will be able to do the work. They have to go back to the selection board through the process that what was set up. But in reality, I mean, it is very important. We want to be sure that the things that are being done out there are done correctly. We have inspectors, very good inspectors, and we also have people who help manage the overall program so we can facilitate and move the projects where we need them to be.
All right, thank you, Fred. Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Councilman Kinney to approve. Councilman Goday seconds that motion. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 72 is approved. Item 73, authorizing the mayor president to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Louisiana Department of Health for the intergovernmental transfer of funds pursuant to the local provider participation program and appropriating an amount not to exceed $136 million for such purpose by council, administrator, and treasurer. Let's open the public hearing for this. Does anybody wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion by Councilman Goday? Do you want to speak, Councilman Dunn?
Yeah, I just want either Ashley or somebody from the administration just to touch on this.
Sure. If y'all will remember, last year in 2025, the council adopted some ordinances that imposed local provider participation charges, fees on hospitals. And this is aimed at increasing services to patients who need Medicaid in East Baton Rouge Parish. And the hospitals were all in favor of the program. These fees will be collected by the city parish through my office, through the treasurer's office, and then sent to the Louisiana Department of Health, who will then, in turn, send that money on to the federal government to draw down more Medicaid dollars. We do have somebody from our consultant here who's happy to answer other questions y'all have. That's the basics of the program. The money can only be used for this purpose. These funds may not be used for any other purpose, so it's truly just a flow through.
Yes, thank you. They sent a very detailed email to all of us. I just wanted everybody in the public and the viewing audience to hear what we heard in email. Thank you. Motion to approve.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Councilman Dunn, a second by Councilman Goday. Any objections to this? All right, seeing none. Oh, Anthony, I'm so sorry. Councilman Kenny, do you want to speak? Okay. All right, so item 73 is approved. Item 74, authorizing the mayor president to accept the grant award for the Court Modernization and Technology Fund in an amount up to $50,000 on behalf of the Baton Rouge City Court from the Louisiana Supreme Court to support technology upgrades for the Baton Rouge City Court by interim clerk of court, judicial administrator. Let's open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Council members. Councilman Goday moves for approval, and I have a second from Councilwoman Amorosa. Do I have any objections? Seeing no objections, item number 74 is approved. Item 75, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded on September 17th, 2025 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Sarah Christine Sims, Torrin Von Horton Jr., and Elena Torrey Horton. Reason for rescission, the property is being sold and the structures have been demolished, and this item is by Councilman Hurst. So let's open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Councilman Hurst makes a motion to approve this item. Councilwoman Rocca seconds it. Seeing no objections, item number 75 is approved. Item 76, amend the 2026 pay plan for classified, unclassified, non-classified, contract fire, and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge, adopted by Ordinance 19726, so as to add a new classification, Director of Contracts, and delete one Special Assistant Parish Attorney position, effective April 18th, 2026, by parish attorneys. Let's open up the public hearing on this matter. Anybody wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, we have a request to defer this item for 2 weeks. Do I have a motion to defer this item for 2 weeks? Councilman Dunn makes a motion. Councilwoman Harris seconds it. Do I have any objections? Seeing no objections, the item 76 is deferred for 2 weeks. All right, item 77, amend the 2026 allotment of positions for the City of Baton Rouge and the Parish of East Baton Rouge, adopted by Ordinance 19727, so as to change the allotment of the Parish Attorney Administration to add one Director of Contracts and delete one Special Assistant Parish Attorney, effective April 18th, 2026, by Parish Attorney. Let's open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. We have a request by the parish attorney to defer this item for 2 weeks. Council members, do I have a motion to defer this for 2 weeks? Councilman Dunn makes a motion, and the chair, Councilman Goday, is nodding his head to second that motion. Do we have any objections to that? Seeing none, we will defer item 77 for 2 weeks. All right, let's move on to administrative matters. See your separate sheet, council members. Okay, administrative matters, introduction A. Authorizing the mayor president on behalf of the city parish and parish of East Baton Rouge to approve the city parish of East Baton Rouge to prepare and submit a pre-application to the statewide flood control program for assistance in the implementation of a project for the purpose of reducing existing flood damages by Transportation and Drainage Director. We're going to need a motion to waive the rules to allow this item to be introduced. So I'm looking for a motion. Councilman Dunn gives me a motion. I need a second. Do I have a second? From Councilwoman Coleman. All right, now we're going to open up the public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules may approach the microphone at this time. Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. All right, so now we're going to vote. Are there any objections? I'm so sorry. Are there any objections to the motion to waive the rules? All right, seeing none. We need a motion to introduce the items. Do I have a motion? Councilman Dunn makes a motion to introduce this item. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Harris. All right. Any objections to introducing administrative item number A? All right, no. All right. Okay, administrative matters, emergency item B, requesting that Greg Rome consider his decision to retire and further requesting that he continue in his role as parish attorney by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, Councilwoman Denise Amorosa, and Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. All right, we need a, okay, I need to open up the public, motion to a motion to waive the rules. All right, I have Councilwoman Coleman made the motion. Councilman Dunn seconded the motion. All right, so we're going to open up a public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules may approach the microphone at this time. Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion to waive the rules. Are there any objections to the motion to waive the rules? Okay, we have an objection from Councilman Moak, so this item cannot be heard. Right. All right, here we go. So let's move on to appointments. Items 78, Capital Area Finance Authority. Concurring in the Mayor President's recommendation to fill the unexpired term by Russell Mosley. This term expires July 1, 2028, and the current ballot is Patrick Goldsmith. Let's open up the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to appoint Patrick Goldsmith? The chair, okay, Councilman Goday will make the motion. The chair will second it. Any objections to this appointment? Okay, item number 78 is approved, and congratulations to Mr. Patrick Goldsmith. All right, item 79, Library Board of Control. Consideration of reappointing and replacing Dolores Watts. This is a 4-year term, and 9 votes are needed. The current ballot is Garrett Deschamps, and Dolores Watts. Garrett has submitted his application. Dolores Watts is requesting reappointment. What is your? We'll open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Not seeing none. Let's close the public hearing. Members, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion. We reappoint Ms. Dolores Watts.
All right, we have a motion to reappoint Dolores Watts. Do we have a second? All right. There's no second.
Do you want me to run the ballot?
You want to second? Okay, Councilwoman Amorosa will second the reappointment of Dolores Watts. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, congratulations, Ms. Watts, and thank you for your service, continuing service to East Baton Rouge Parish. Item number 80, Let's take item 80 and 81 together. Volunteer Fire Department, Fire District 3, Brownsfield. Consideration of reappointing or replacing George Dean. Current ballot, George Dean, requested reappointment. Lewis Kelly Jr., requested reappointment. And consideration of reappointing or replacing Lewis Kelly Jr. Current ballot, George Dean, requesting reappointment, and Lewis Kelly Jr., requested reappointment. Let's open up the public hearing on these items. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to reappoint George Dean and Lewis Kelly to their service on the Brownsfield Board? Okay, Councilman Kinney makes the motion. The chair will second that motion. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, congratulations. Item 80 and 81 we have appointed George Dean and Lewis Kelly Jr. to a second term on the Brownsville Fire District. Thank you, gentlemen, for your ongoing service to our community. Item 82, Volunteer Fire Department Board of Commissioners Fire District 4 Central. Consideration of reappointing or replacing Michael J. Williston. The current ballot is Michael J. Williston, who has requested reappointment. Let's open up the public hearing on this matter. Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the council? Councilman Moak. He makes a motion to reappoint Mr. Michael Williston. And do I have a second? I do, by Councilwoman Rocca. She seconds his appointment. And do I have any objections? Seeing none, congratulations, Michael Williston, and thank you again for your service to the Central Fire District. All right, let's take 83 and 84 together. Volunteer Fire Department, Fire District 6, Hooper Road. Consideration of reappointing or replacing Sharon Graves, and consideration of reappointing or replacing Richard Fort. The current ballot is Sharon Graves and Richard Fort. Let's open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on these matters? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to reappoint Sharon Graves and Richard Fort? I do. Councilman Kinney makes a motion. Councilman Moak makes the second. Do I have any objections? Seeing no objections, congratulations to Sharon Graves and Richard Fort, and thank you for your willingness to serve our community. All right, let's go to change orders. We're going to take items 85 through 87 together. Pest Control Services, contractor Bay Pest Control Company, change order in the amount of $84,387.26. Item 86, Registrar of Voters Tenant Build-Out. Contractor, Capital City Construction, LLC. Change order amount, $34,664. Item 87, McHugh Road, Groom Road to Lower Zachary. Contractor, Barrier Construction Company, LLC. Change order amount, $31,993.62. Let's open up the public hearing. I think we did have one public comment on 85. Do you remember that?
Council members, you should have received one email comment on number 85 in opposition.
Thank you, Ashley. Let's open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to address these matters? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Members, do I have a motion to approve items 85 through 87? Thank you, Councilman Kinney. He made a motion to approve. And we need a second. The chair seconds this. Any objections? Okay, we have one objection to 85. Does that mean that we... It's okay. Any other objections? Seeing none, items 85, 86, and 87 are approved. All right, acceptance of low bids. Item 88, US 61 Scenic Highway, LA 408, Harding Boulevard, Swan Avenue Project. Hard Rock Construction, LLC, in an amount of $4,072,836.15. Let's open the public hearing on this. Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve? Or Mr. Dunn, you have a...
Fred, this yours, right? I think this project has been anticipated for quite some time. Could you just talk about it?
Yes, sir. Certainly, and you're absolutely correct. but when you're having to deal with the railroad company, trying to work out deals with crossings and stuff like that, it does take a little longer than most people expect. But we finally moved through the process, working with the railroad and DOTD and our staff. This is a major improvement for this area of off of Harding and Scenic. There will be a lot of walkways that are going to be improved, pedestrian crossings, new roadways that will be upgraded in the area to be able to do crossings for a lot of the tracks. And the biggest thing, which I feel like is very, very important, is to have actual gates at these crossings from a pedestrian and also from a transportation standpoint. With this bid, low bid, the contractor, he's currently working on the Plank Road job, but has done a fantastic job, and he does have the people and the manpower to address this. And as soon as we can get the dates and down, we will certainly have a groundbreaking up for this area, because I know it's very, very important for the community, and they've been asking for this for some time, particularly dealing with Southern and tying Southern and also the business community together in that particular area.
Thank you, Fred. I'll defer the rest of my time to Councilman Kenny to talk about the importance of this street and this area to the Scotlandville community and the Southern University community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman Dunn. No, Fred talked about it in totality. Southern University is currently going through a renaissance era. Currently, there's a lot of renovations. I know it's Councilwoman Coleman District by virtue of District 10, but we're very excited that Southern University will be a part of this project. A lot of students in that area walk throughout the area as well, with more student housing on the horizon and things as well. So thank you, Fred. I know this has been a project I've been working on far beyond I got into office, but we're glad to see it get across the finish line as well.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
Don't be sorry, be
It's a
safe.
District 2 project.
Yeah, don't worry about the song.
The best district.
Yeah, be safe. Shut up, Mo, because I ain't well with you. So, come on. Yeah, hush your mouth. Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, Fred, do it. Yeah, just...
I don't think I said anything.
Okay, so I'm going to accept the motion to approve by Councilwoman Coleman with Councilman Kenny making this second. Are there any objections to approving this wonderful project? Seeing none, item 88 is approved.
I'd like to request revisiting 85, if I may, please, that pest control services.
Sure. All right, so
I'd like to reconsider, and I'd like to have a conversation about that.
okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Coleman to reconsider item 85. Do we have a second? Second, Councilwoman Amorosa. Any objections to reconsidering? Seeing none, do we need to? Okay, so let me reread this item. Change orders, pest control services, contractor, Bay Pest Control Company, change order amount $84,387.26. Do we need to open up a public hearing? Let's open up a public hearing on this. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 85.
All right, seeing no one from the public who wishes to speak, we're going to close the public hearing and go to council members. Councilwoman Coleman?
I need someone to explain to me how the pest control services, the original contract is $22,179.74, and then there's a change order for $84,000, and this new contract is $106,000. Somebody.
That would be me, Councilwoman. How you doing? So we had the original contract we had was to cover all the facilities. We just had additional requests. So if someone requests that has ants or need to put out rat traps, we just had a large amount of last year of having issues coming in with the rain. We had issues at a lot of facilities that we managed.
All right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Councilwoman Amorosa?
Yeah, thank you. So was that the original bid, was the $22,000?
Yes, ma'am. That was the original contract amount.
When did the bids come out? When?
I would have to go back and see. I don't know exactly when the original contract was written out.
So was the
This was-
22,000 the lowest bid?
Yes, so the $22,000 was the lowest one coming in, and that was based off historic numbers, the way they set the bid at, and just the cost increases over time is what drove that up. But I can get back with you and let you know the exact date that the contract was awarded.
So is this 106.5 for the year?
Yes, ma'am. That will carries out for the rest of the year till 10/31/26. So it's a projection of what we would need based off the average that we've been running for the past 3 months.
Okay, thank you. So, real quick, was he the one, was Bay Pest Control the one that came in and said that changed these numbers, or were you the one
No,
that came in and?
It's based off of what we projected, that so we don't run out of money and not be able to provide services to the facilities.
So the contract change was due to us as opposed to him?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
So, everybody good? So, Mr. Butler, it looks like we're kind of, it's really kind of a contract extension. Is that fair?
Correct.
Is that, Mr. Daniel?
Right. Yeah, so I'm sorry. So I'm explaining it incorrectly. They bid out the services. It wasn't a hard amount saying it was 22,000. It was just the services itself.
Okay, got it. Okay, so it was on a per-service basis, and now we're continuing to use those services. Okay.
Correct.
That does give me clarity. Is anybody else? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? Councilman Dunn makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Rocca seconds that motion. Do I have any objections? Okay, seeing none, the item is approved. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
All right, no problem.
All right. All right, now, item 89, requesting a report from the Department of Development on condemned property rescissions approved by the council over the past 24 months and the current condition of those properties by Councilwoman Lori Adams. Rachel Lambert, thank you. I appreciate you being here to walk us through this.
Good afternoon.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry. I need to open up the public hearing. No?
I can usually we present first, then open.
Okay, let me say this. So we're going to take the report, and then after the report, we'll open up the public hearing at that time. So, thank you, Rachel.
Yes, ma'am. I passed around a copy of this brief slideshow and then a listing of all 67 properties that have been were rescinded in 2024 and 2025, along with some notes, and then what I will get to as we're kind of categorizing them into 4 different groups. So if you go to the next slide, Justin, like I said, there were 67 total rescissions from 2024 and 2025. That was across 8 different districts. In that time frame, there was 389 condemnations condemned by the council across all 12 districts. We kind of lump them into what we'll call favorable versus unfavorable. Roughly 40% had favorable outcomes. If we go to the next slide. I'm getting there. Next slide, Justin. Favorable outcomes would mean that the property is remodeled or currently being remodeled. Some of them, because they were not rescinded that long ago, are still actively working on their permits. And you can see in my notes, I kind of detail that, though I did do a personal assessment of whether I felt that their project was, or their permit was abandoned or not. Or the property was demolished by the owner. So there were 5 properties there. Unfavorable outcomes would be that there were no improvements, meaning some of these may have applied for a permit, abandoned that permit. Maybe their permit got issued, but they did not follow through with making the improvements. So they continue to sit in an unimproved state. There were 9 properties that were recondemned or have been introduced back to you all to be recondemned. So Next slide is a breakdown of the total number of rescissions across those 8 districts, and whether they were favorable, unfavorable. Again, on your slide, you can look at each address, each, descriptive comment, and then, what are the 4 categories. I kind of lumped that into. If you want any more detail about that, I can provide that to you. Just let me know. If we go to the next slide, I know some of those numbers on that previous slide look like, especially 5, 7, and 10, that there were a whole lot of rescissions. But if you compare that specifically to the percentage of condemnations in those districts as a whole, it is extremely right on target, right? So in District 7, it was 36% of the rescissions, but 35% of the total condemnations were in District 7. Same with District 10, 27% of rescissions, and 31% of the total number of condemnations were in that district as well. So, and that goes for all of those across all the different districts across the board. They fell in line within 1 to 2 percentage points of their overall condemnation rate. Next slide, another kind of categorizing some things of favorable versus unfavorable, a little bit of duplicate, and then the last slide kind of sums it up. The data proves that where there were high concentrations of rescissions, that it's adequate, next slide please, that it's adequate and comparative to the total number percentage of condemnations, that really we're at a 40% success rate to an extent, and that there was a lot of 48% of rescissions are kind of stalling out at no improvements, and there's room for improvement there. So that's the end of my slideshow. Very brief, like I said. I'm here for questions, and I know you want to open the public hearing.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to address this matter, this report? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Council members, any questions or comments? Councilwoman Martin?
Hi. Excuse me. In one of the last council meetings, we talked about fees that were associated with, or fines associated with the rescission process. Can you walk us through that again, please?
Currently, there is no, we'll say, per se, fine or fee that comes along with a condemnation, as there are, if you would equate that with 4 violations that go to blight court, such as junk, trash, and debris, an open building. There's a fine for tall grass, even though it doesn't go to blight court. At blight court, the judge sets the fine amount. There's an administrative fee that is automatic on all of those blight court judgments. It's $100. But that does not happen for condemnations. We do recoup the amount of money for recording or asbestos testing or demolition if it actually gets to that point, and send a bill and place a lien on that property. But there are no actual fines or fees as far as like a penalty for condemnations.
So if we were to send a condemnation, what costs are incurred for the city, or an approximation of what that process costs taxpayers each time it's done?
So the cost that, in order for a rescission to be placed on the agenda, the person who's requesting that rescission has to pay recording fees. When a notice to attend to be at this council meeting is sent out, it is also recorded against that property with the clerk of court. And so the fees associated with that recording are then, tallied up. The parish attorney's office incurs those costs. If I have tested it for asbestos, we've got it's like $650. And so if we've gotten to that point as well, they'll have to pay that back to us as well. What was the second part?
What does the collection with regard to those fees look like? Are we able to collect that? Is it occurring?
So for rescissions, yes. If they don't pay after probably 60, 90 days within requesting that rescission, we're removing the hold and putting it back on the demo list. Gotcha. Now, lien recoup, it's not a whole lot of a percentage, but there is some recoup because eventually it gets rolled onto the property tax rolls.
And specifically with regard to the rescission piece, the fine applies to favorable and unfavorable. Does it apply to both?
There's no fine.
Well, the fees that you're talking about that are...
and it's wholly dependent upon actual costs incurred by the city parish. So some properties have 10 heirs, and we would record 10 notice to attends. So they would have the $135 fee that times 10, because we would have recorded 10 notice to attends, and they would have to
So
pay that back.
Those numbers, are they attached to the favorable and unfavorable rescissions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And and you said if they're not paid, then they move through the process and there is no rescission, correct?
Yes,
Did I
ma'am.
understand that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, Councilman Moak.
How long does it usually take to get through a full process on average to get to a condemnation?
To get it on the agenda
To get
here?
it on the agenda to be condemned?
That varies. We do try to work with property owners. If we send them a letter and they contact our office, they apply for a permit, we will try to allow them some time to come into compliance, because it's not the department's goal to demolish properties. We want them
I
to be
agree.
brought back into commerce. So sometimes it takes longer. There are severe properties that we may, our process goes like this. A property is reported for potential condemnation. We're going to go out and inspect it. And if we find it in violation, then we will send a letter out.
It's usually inspected within how long?
Usually like a week. It really just
Okay.
kind of depends.
So we got a week or two there.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And then we give them 30 days to respond.
So
And
a
if
week,
we
and a month
don't,
and a half.
if we have, and then within those 30 days, they don't respond, then we're forwarding that on to the parish attorney's office, who then eventually puts it onto the council agenda.
And that takes about how long?
A couple weeks. It really depends on how much we've sent them, right? Because there might be a few that they haven't put on yet, because we have too many like deferrals. We can only have so many, we'll call it, on the agenda at one time. We run into a resource, right? Because the week before every council meeting, my inspector is visiting every single property on the agenda.
So would you say that from complaint to everything else, usually on average, 6 months?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, for
on our
the more
agenda
severe
within 6
ones,
months?
again, there are a lot of properties that are reported that I would call rehabable and not, we've kind of been ranking them from 1 to 5, 5 being the worst, 1 being, rehabable, very rehabable. And so some of those 1s, 2s, and the milder 3s might sit longer before they get sent to the council, because we're trying to, of course, do the worst ones first.
Okay, so we get to the condemnation, it's condemned, we vote on it. At that point, what process starts then?
So we're going to identify whether the property would be eligible for any sort of grant funding that we would get from OCD. There are certain areas of town that are ineligible due to their historic nature, or that they're in the floodplain as well. So we'll determine that, send off some information to get a pre-approval on that. We will also send them off to get tested for asbestos. And then once we
How long
get
does that usually take? I mean, that process of we
the 30
voted on
days
it.
for the grant eligibility, because there's a lot of notices that have to get sent out, takes 45 to 60 days.
Okay,
The
so
asbestos testing is typically
5, 6,
running
7.
around 30 to 45 days.
So we're about 4 to 6, 7 months in.
Yeah, and then
Possibly up to
utilities
8.
right now, Energy and Delta Gas are running at about 8 weeks in order for to disconnect. That is
So-
a very challenging factor currently.
So now we're at 9, 10 months
Yeah.
that we're dealing with this one piece
Post-condemnation,
of
we're looking
property.
at the quickest we could probably get something down would be 2.5, 3 months after condemnation.
After condemnation. Okay, so we're about 8, 9 months in,
Mhm.
according to the thing. So do you have to, after we vote on it, do you have, and have it condemned, do you have to go through the process again of notifying anybody that's
No.
on record?
We do send out a finalized copy of your decision and order, AKA the condemnation itself. But receiving green card notice back is not as important as it is on the notice to intend.
Okay.
But there is a lot of mail involved.
So you get to the point, you've done the asbestos test, you've got the power pulled from the property and everything, and then somebody shows up.
Mhm.
At that point, what happens then? They show up and they say, whoa, wait a second. And they have to get with their council member, and their council
Yes.
member then contacts you and says, I'd like to put this, or do they contact you? Does the owner contact you and say, hey, I've decided I'll do the work on it?
They do both happen. We specifically tell people that we do not place holds on properties, we need that communication to come in writing from their council member.
But they show up and they want to do work on it all of a sudden, it has to be pulled from the
It does not,
condemnation? It does
not if I do not receive that intent or wishes from the council member. We don't stop until we do.
Okay, so the council member comes to you and says, this person wants to do the work on it.
Mhm.
Before the person can do anything, it has to be pulled from the condemnation. It has to be rescissioned,
A
right?
lot of times when that happens, we may place what we'll call like a soft hold. We'll pull back from, we're not going to like remove it from the list, but we're going to give it a few weeks, see if they can get enough information together to make everyone feel comfortable that they're going to be able to proceed with that work once the rescission is done. Then once a formal request for rescission is sent in, we will place it on what we'll call it a hard hold, right? Until either the 60 to 90 days elapses after they get that communication of how much they have to pay in order for the rescission to go on the agenda. And then, otherwise, if they don't request a formal rescission, then we move it back to the demo list.
Okay. All right, so rescission's been done.
Councilman Moak, do you want your
Yes.
extra time?
Yeah, rescission's been done. It's off the list. The person said they're going to do whatever they're supposed to do. Again, they don't do it. Does all of those steps have to be done
Yes.
all over again? Inspection, asbestos?
No, asbestos would carry over.
Does any shortcuts happen to go back for recondemnation because they didn't do their work? In other words, it's a shorter process to say, all right, you didn't do the work, boom, it's right back on the list. Or do we have to get through the whole process again?
So the whole like re-noticing, resending out the notice to attends, appearing back on the council agenda, all has to occur. Now, say we tested for asbestos, the grant approval came in and they cut all the utilities before it was rescinded. We don't have to do that again. So that time frame can't be shorter.
Okay. The reason I was being so specific about the timeline and everything else, just like, I understand that we don't have any fees or fines or whatever else, and what we do, a little bit, we do incur as far as actual payment to asbestos people or entity going, whatever we have there. I get that, we put that on the thing, but that's a lot of time and effort and inspectors that we're
Agreed.
sending out to these places to be pulled off that list. I'm all for if there's something to work out to where, it doesn't get pulled or rescinded until, you see actual credible, full work, that it can be non-condemned. If there's anything we can do with that, but, the rescission just seems to me has to be a final thing, it's back in play. In other words, is there a way that, whether through ordinance or whatever functions that we can assist y'all with, is there a way to allow the homeowner that shows up after it's been condemned, maybe they just got the notice or whatever, they come in and say, we're going to do this work. And the work, pretty much from our standpoint, would have to be guaranteed that, okay, you've got X amount of time to put it to a point that if we re-inspect this, it will not be condemned. It won't be on a condemned level. Is there any way that we can get to that point?
So one of the complicating factors with that would be that a permit cannot be issued if the property is condemned.
Is that something we can change?
We can, but I believe Maymuna spoke on that a while back. It would be a direct conflict. A condemnation nullifies and voids any existing permit, and a new permits cannot be issued when a property is condemned.
Okay.
But they
We'll have to
can
give
board
a
it
number.
up, make it, so that it can't be inhabited or entered by people or rodents or vermin, whatever you want to call it, and then,
I feel that being boarded up is different than condemned. Like some of these things that I see that are on a condemnation list are roofs are half gone.
Agreed.
Front porches are literally, the whole front of the structure is gone. I've got one in my district that was there forever. It had to have a 6-foot round tree trunk through the roof for I don't know how long, and it took out half the other roof. And it finally got tore down or whatever. But I guess that's what I'm trying to get at is, it's one thing, yeah, I get the ones that say, if you go board it up and secure it, that's not condemnable. But it's the ones that are you're going to have physical construction work to do to make this not fully condemnable. In other words, we're not going to salt the earth with this thing. So that's what I'm talking about. Is there any way that we can improve that process? Because those are probably the ones that I would think that fall within this unfavorable work part, is they get out there and they go, oh, I just don't, there's just, it'd be better just to let the city parish tear it down and we build another one on top of it.
I don't disagree, especially, in the districts where we're condemning a lot of properties, that housing stock is much older. So a lot of things have to be brought up to code when there are, changes in permits that have to be made. When you're talking about half the roof is gone, that's a large structural, project in itself, having to reframe a roof or walls or this, that, or the other. And so,
Right. And I got 30 seconds. I apologize. I'll close with this. I'm all for, if a homeowner is going to come up, even after it's condemned, and say, and however bad it is, walking them through, getting grants, getting them help, getting them whatever they need, if they want to put that property back in use, or getting them some assistance in, completely tearing it down and grants or whatever else to rebuild a home on their property. I get it that it means a lot to them, but I just feel like it's got to get to a point that we should be able to move forward without completely pulling off that condemnation list if they're truly going to be able to do something. So
Thank you.
I will try to see what other best practices other jurisdictions may have implemented around that specifically.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Yes, thank you, Rachel, for your presentation there, putting the numbers up and all of that. And so I want to say that as the council person in 10, 10, 7, and 5 are the areas where there are the condemnation, the plenty of condemnations there. And so as the council person in 10, I can say is I make decisions with my constituents. I even have my constituents to come with a plan. And so this is not a cookie cutter.
Agreed.
And so a plan is, what is it that you're going to do in their time frame? And the majority of them have a plan, and they actualize their plan. And then we even reach out to OCD from time to time about doing this. And then when we talk about the blight and the condemnation, then your budget is kind of low, isn't it?
My department has $0 from the general fund.
Yes, so let the record reflect that. And so if they are burned, then they were on top of the list. Isn't that correct? And so when we as council persons, and I'm going to speak for myself, know our district and know what is and know our constituents, then that's why they voted and have us here sitting in this, as opposed to every time when others feel that something needs to be done because there's not any blight or very little in their district. So we want to make sure that the record reflect that. Then just tearing down folks' stuff and then talking about building them something else, that's a mortgage. And you're not talking about young people. You're talking about people that are in their evening years and talking about a damn mortgage, which is not acceptable there. And so I just want, and there is no cookie cutter
100% agree.
process for the people that we serve. When we look at 37,000 plus, I know in 10 of constituents who are in need of services and whatever, and that's our job. I know in 10 that's ours. And so they come with a plan, and then you've got to consider a bunch of stuff, illness, no money at that time. A lot of folk are on the ownership of that. So again, there is no cookie cutter process for this, and we definitely do our due diligence to serve, that big word, that big S word, to serve our constituents, as opposed to just want to change the ordinances or make another rule that will be impacting the people that we have chosen to serve. So I appreciate your report. I appreciate when we reach out, and when I say we, I'm talking about my people.
Yes, ma'am.
Me and my people reach out, and then that we are able to actually serve. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that we have more positive whatever to serve, and people actually doing what needs to be done in order to put their home back in commerce, and if they so choose to sell, or if they so choose to do whatever, then that's what they do in District 10. And so again, I thank you, but I want the record to reflect I am the councilwoman in 10, and it is my fiduciary responsibility to make sure that I don't go through tearing down folk houses, but that I actually serve them and help them to come up and stay in their homes or do whatsoever it is. But I thank you, Rachel.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't want this to be accusatory or anything, just presenting facts and data.
You didn't, and that's why I can thank you.
You're welcome.
You didn't, and I thank you.
Councilwoman Harris.
I have a question for Councilwoman Adam. Do you have blight in your district?
Yes, I have some.
Because I'm wondering why you called for this report to be given. Can you explain why you were asking the
Yes,
report?
we actually, I asked her, was it maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago in a council meeting, we were talking about the process and whether, there should be a rescission fee, if we were really, always capturing people's, true intent, like is a rescission, is it easy to get, and then you can, prolong it for a longer time, and just, I wanted to understand what the process was and what the outcomes were, and I mean, for all I knew, 100% of the things that were rescinded were improved, so this is just a great snapshot to see, what happens. I think we're all trying to figure out, how to get housing stock improved, and this is a piece of the puzzle.
Okay. And Councilman Moak, you had a piece of blighted property in your district, and you have several, and Rachel stood up here and just ran it down the entire rescinding process. Sitting on the council as long as you've been, I thought maybe you would have known the process by now.
I didn't know the timeline of the process. I know that it takes a while, and it takes time and effort and so on. And I think, like, when I go through my process and I walk through, I want to make sure, and I want to help the homeowner get to the point that they can get back into that home.
Correct.
That's what I've always done with mine.
Okay.
But I've also told them that I will refuse to pull off do any rescission until certain steps are made. And I know each one of everyone in here probably does that in their areas also.
Correct.
And I commend everyone for doing that. And I think that everyone does an amazingly awesome job of working with their constituents in everything that they do with condemnations.
Correct.
But I also feel like that there are some, even in my district, because I've had two of them that I've dealt with over 5, 6.5 years now, that kept telling me, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, going to do it, going to do it. And neighbor after neighbor kept calling and calling and calling. And so I kept telling them, do not try and pull it. Do not do anything, but what can we do so that we can get them to the point to be able to do some work to show that when it gets to the point, I either go out there and look at it just like all of y'all go out and look at yours, that I go out there and say, yes, this is going to be livable. They're actually out here doing stuff before I go rescinding it, because I don't want us to have to go through that process again, because it is time and effort from our department. So, I'll just answer it flat out right. I'm not condemning anyone, no pun intended, for the process and the work that you do. I wanted the time and process stated publicly. I know what the process is. I just thought I would put in with the time and effort that we're having to go through. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to go through this. And I thought we had great discussion the last time we discussed this.
I thought so as well. I did. I want to also say that I know my district has a huge blight problem, but the most important thing for me when it comes to blight is to make certain that I am communicating with the owner, if you can locate an owner. And like Councilwoman Coleman mentioned, is what's your plans? What plans are you going to do? What are you going to do with this piece of property? Can you afford to remodel? Can you afford to demolish? And I, for myself, do not go in immediately willing to tear it down right then and there. I believe in working with folks, okay? Because most of these properties, 99% of these properties are heirs' property. And folks don't want you touching their property, demolishing it, giving them an opportunity to at least do something with it. Now, if you're not willing to do anything with it, the next step is to move on and demolish it. But first of all, it's very important for constituents to know we're not in the business of just demolishing or just tearing somebody's property down because you're interested in the property and you want to do something with it. That's not what we do. We want to work with them. Now, if you're not workable, if you're not going to do what you say you're going to do, then we take those steps. We move forward to the next step in demolishing it.
Right.
So,
Councilwoman, if I may, I would even agree with y'all and every one of the other council members that, and what I said in my statement a while ago is, I would even go to the point that if there's some kind of financial aid that we could offer them or direct them through to with our office, because a lot of the times that they can't rebuild is when they see what needs to be done. It gets very financially hardship and so on. I would even go to the point of not wanting to tear it down to say, hey, let's at least get you see if we can qualify you for some of this financial aid that might be available. I don't know if there is or not. Put a list together and maybe give it out to them and help them go through it, but still not pull it off the list until we get through that process and everything. So I agree with y'all that we're not in the business of going out there and tearing people's homes and so on. And I would even go so far as to helping them find financial aid. So I apologize.
Okay, thank you for that. Rachel, you mentioned briefly that there's funding, available funding, some funding source that you may have or aid. Can you go over that again, please? Can you mention if your department do have some type of funding that maybe some of these homeowners can tap into to help with renovations? You don't have that?
No, we have $0 in our budget, even for tearing them down. Right now, we had some money with OCD, and they're still trying to work to get us some more to be able to utilize. To tackle some of our backlog, which currently sits at 97 properties.
Okay.
But other than that, it's just our in-house crew that's, working to tear down houses, study one after the other. I know that OCD's been working to have more programs, to have remodel and other funds. There are other organizations out there, nonprofits, that are trying to help people like that as well. We try to steer them to those people and try to help people. Obviously, we're always working with people and trying to, if they want to be in their home, then we want them to be in their home.
Okay. Is Kelly still here?
Thank you.
Kelly? Anyone from OCD here? William? So if funding does come available through grants on a federal level, is that information made public so folks can know?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, Kelly was telling me today that 75 people had signed up for some one of the housing grants that they were coming up with.
Okay, so how do you get it out there? How is it made known to the public? How do you do that?
Well, I'd have to really get with Kelly, but I would say the best example that I've seen was the town meeting that you had.
Yes.
You
But
had
how
quite a
often do
few
we have
people there,
those?
and they were all interested in remodeling homes, theirs and
there's
other
Kelly.
people's.
There's Kelly. Kelly, the question is, when OCD receive funding from grants, federal dollars, how is that information made known to the public?
So every year, it's called entitlement funds because we're an entitlement city. The formula changes a bit. So it's every year that amount is advertised, and it's in our 1-year action plan.
Okay.
As far as what we can do, it has to be approved prior to receiving those
Okay.
funds each year.
So do you make it known to faith-based community centers? William mentioned that I had a town hall meeting a couple of months ago, and of course, that information would be useful there as well. But if we're not doing town hall meetings every month, maybe not even once a year, how could you get that information out so folks can know, look, I do have a blighted piece of property. OCD has access to funding. What are the criterias? What are the guidelines? How can I make that possible?
Yeah, that's one of the big changes that we are making. It should be more reoccurring. But the funds that y'all are speaking about, in the past, a large portion has just gone to the home rehabs, which is a great thing, right? But I think it should be partitioned off to where a certain section, particularly our elderly, are going there, those in the really bad cases like the blind lady who we're helping at this point. But then it should be some just to help this whole process. So before, Rachel was using disaster dollars that were allocated towards tear downs. But we've carved out some of our entitlement dollars to use specific for that. But again, rebuilding is key. But we're open to all ideas. I would love the information to be more readily available.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Harris. Councilwoman Rocco.
Mr. LaDuff, please don't go very far. So we visited another city, and they had a handout that was several pages long that had very similar programs that we currently have, like mow-to-own, side lot sales, and the resources that are available to people that would be phenomenal to have at community centers, to have in these areas where they experience a lot of blight. Are we anywhere closer to potentially getting something like that generated? Is that something that we can do, work together to make sure that we get that information out? And that's my first question. I have more.
Yep, so we've started, and it's an impact report. So it shows a little bit about what we're doing and the programs available. It's got a QR code, and yes, we've started that process.
I would ask you to talk to each of the council members and have their input on what that looks like. I have copies of those documents that I'd love to share as some additional booklets that I can get to you guys. The other piece is, recently in January, I ran into the insurance commissioner, and he had a program that he wanted to roll out with the parish's blight and condemnation proceedings, and it's a roofing program, and they would front a large amount of money, somewhere close to $10,000 or more, to have roofs repaired, because it's the one thing that leads to blight is a leaky roof, and it's a very expensive cost. Also, currently with getting home property insurance, the year and date on your roof may prohibit you from doing so with the insurance changes that we've experienced. So I think that having those conversations with those other public leaders and public officials can help us with those programs, and maybe that's something we include in our booklet. But I do believe us all sitting together and having those conversations, maybe we can have a workshop. I think it would be great. But I think that the council would love some input on what that looks like moving forward.
We'll involve everybody. I think we need a town hall at every district, regardless of where it is. So LAC, LAOCD, so Louisiana Housing Corporation, Louisiana OCD, and Department of Insurance. We need to have everyone there.
Yep. There are people that want to help. I've had conversations with them. They want to assist in any way they can. There's funding available. I think our Councilwoman Harris made an excellent point. Getting this information out to the people is the most important piece, so that they know that there are things that are available. So thank you for your work, and I appreciate it.
Let's work on it next week. Thank y'all.
hold for 1 second. We need 8 people for the next item. He is. Oh, hey, you're here. Good. Oh, good. Okay. I was calling you. Okay. You're always behind a post. What is up with that? I'm just kidding. Okay. Rachel, thank you for your time and energy on that. I think, the more we can learn and understand and come together and work together, the better off we'll be. Item 90, that's an emergency item to be adopted, waiving the distance requirement to allow for the Las Brujas Coffee and Grocery, 3101 Government Street, to move forward with their application to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board for a permit to sell packaged natural wine and packaged retail beer off premises as part of their grocery store, by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Reason for emergency: to allow La Brujas Coffee and Grocery to move forward with their application with the ABC Board as they opened for business on March 22nd, 2026. Okay, so in accordance with Ordinance 16442, this item must be declared an emergency by 2/3 vote of the Metropolitan Council. Do we have a motion to declare this an emergency, Councilwoman Coleman? And do we have a second? A second from Councilman Moak. We need to vote on the motion to declare it an emergency. Are there any objections? All right, so we have 8 votes. All right, let's open up the public hearing on the item. Does anyone wish to speak on the emergency adoption item? Sorry, finding the right words. I don't see anyone wishing to speak, so let's close the public hearing. And so is that, we need to take a vote? Do we take a vote on the item now? Oh, I'm so sorry. Councilwoman Amorosa.
We vote on this, does it actually go forward tonight, or is it?
Yes.
Just up for adoption?
No, this is adoption, so this will allow them to go forward with their
Okay, so what
license at
is the
ABC.
distance problem? Can you clarify the distance problem, why there's a distance problem?
Well, it is there's a very small distance issue, and the folk are good with it. And so they went before the parish, the planning and zoning, and so they went to the people, they're good with this. They came to me, I put it on the agenda, and we good.
So it's not like there's not like a school or
Nah.
a church or anything like that? Is it like neighbors?
And they are already on a strip with other folks doing the same thing.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that we've declared it an emergency item, and we have adopted it. Is that right? We've done it. Okay, we need a motion to approve. Just checking it out. We have a motion by Councilman Coleman. We have a second by Councilman Moak. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the item is approved. Item 90 is approved. Councilwoman Amorosa.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, seconded by Councilwoman Harris. And we have, so we're adjourned, but we have announcements. Councilwoman Harris.
We're back with Pedaling for Peace on April 17th at 6 p.m. Shoppers Value. Chief, I see you over there. We need you in the place. You're there, okay. And we need everyone else in the place.
It's a great day.
Friday, April 17th, 6 p.m. Shoppers Value. Be there or be square. And we have
Awesome.
bikes for you.
Awesome.
Beck, I need you in the house, Beck.
Any other announcements?
No, you're going to Mississippi. You're not going to be there. So come out. We're going to have a great time. And the weather is perfect as well.
Awesome.
See you
All right.
there.
Thank you, Councilwoman Harris. All right, don't forget that a small group of committed people is the only thing that has ever changed the world. Y'all have a great evening.